Rising above the rim. The gym smelled of polished wood and fresh paint. The banners on the walls showed the history of Riverdale High School, old championships, photos of smiling teams, and faded letters that read pride, teamwork, heart. Ethan sat at the far end of the bench, bouncing a basketball gently on the floor. He wasn't the star player of the Riverdale Ravens. In fact, he was almost invisible. Most games, he sat quietly, watching, cheering when he could, waiting for a chance that never seemed to come. He wasn't bad at basketball. He practiced every morning before school, shooting hoops while the sky was still pink with sunrise. But the team had players like Marcus, tall and powerful, and Jason, fast and confident. Next to them, Ethan looked ordinary. Still, he loved the game. He loved the sound of the ball hitting the floor, the squeak of sneakers, the rhythm of passing. More than anything, he loved the idea of being part of something bigger, a team that worked together, a team that believed in him. That Friday, the coach called the team into the locker room. His voice was serious. Tomorrow is the semi-final game. If we win, we go to the championship. If we lose, the season is over. I need every one of you ready. Ethan sat up straighter, heart beating fast. Championship? The word sounded huge. Marcus grinned. Coach, don't worry. With me and Jason, we've got this. Coach nodded, but his eyes moved over the whole team. It's not just about stars. It's about all of you. Remember that. Ethan wanted to believe those words were for him too. The next morning, Ethan woke before his alarm. He couldn't sleep. He ate breakfast quickly, grabbed his bag, and left for school. On the way, he saw kids wearing jerseys and neighbors putting up banners. Everyone was excited for the big game. At the gym, his teammates were already warming up. Jason was joking loudly, Marcus was practicing slam dunks, and the rest of the players moved with energy. Ethan started shooting quietly at the far hoop, hoping no one noticed how nervous he was. "Hey, bench warmer," someone teased. It was Jason, laughing with two other players. Ethan forced a smile. He had heard it before. He didn't answer. He just kept shooting. The coach blew his whistle. All right, gather up. They huddled, arms over shoulders. The coach looked at each of them. Tonight, you'll face the toughest team in the league. They're bigger, stronger, and more experienced, but I know something they don't. I know how much heart this team has. Remember, play together, trust each other, and never give up. Ethan whispered to himself, never give up. The bleachers filled with fans. The sound grew louder, cheers, drums, chants. The Ravens stepped onto the court, jerseys shining under the lights. Ethan's stomach twisted with nerves. He knew he probably wouldn't play. But deep inside, a small voice whispered, maybe today will be different. The noise inside the gym grew louder. The scoreboard showed Dragons 68, Eagles 68. Only 40 seconds left. Everyone in the crowd was on their feet, clapping and shouting. Some had painted faces in blue, some in red. The air was hot, full of energy and sweat. Leo looked at the scoreboard, then at his coach. The coach's eyes told him, stay calm, believe, Leo nodded. He had dreamed of this moment for years, but now that it was here, it felt almost unreal. The Eagles had the ball. Their point guard, Mason, dribbled fast across the court. Mason was small but quick, a clever player who always found a way to pass. Leo followed him, heart beating like a drum. Mason moved left, then right, then suddenly passed the ball to their star, Jordan. Jordan jumped, released the ball, and the crowd held its breath. The ball hit the rim once, twice, and bounced out. Leo leaped high, grabbed the rebound, and landed strong. His teammates shouted, "Run, Leo, run!" He started a fast break, the ball bouncing under his hand. The sound of sneakers squeaking on the polished wood echoed. The clock showed 20 seconds. He passed to Malik, who was waiting near the three-point line. Malik faked a shot, fooled the defender, and gave it back to Leo. 10 seconds now. Coach's voice rose above the noise. "Take your time. One last shot." Leo stopped, breathing hard. He was at the top of the key, holding the ball, the entire gym watching him. It was like time slowed down. He remembered mornings shooting hoops alone, the cold air, the sound of the ball hitting the net. He remembered his father's words. The game always gives you one big chance. Don't be afraid when it comes. 5 seconds. 4. Leo dribbled once, took a step, and jumped. The ball left his hands. The buzzer sounded. The ball flew in the air, spinning slowly, heading toward the basket. Everyone's eyes followed it, as if the whole world stopped just to see where it would land. Then, swish! The ball went clean through the net. For a moment there was silence. Then the gym exploded with cheers. The Dragons had won, 71-68. The team rushed onto the court, hugging, shouting, jumping. Leo was at the center, surrounded by his friends. His coach lifted him in the air, laughing. Tears filled Leo's eyes, but they were happy tears. The crowd chanted his name, L-E-O, 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 exclamation mark. Reporters with cameras came closer. "Leo, how do you feel?" That was the shot of the season. Leo smiled, still catching his breath. It's not just my shot. It's our team's win. We never gave up. That night, Leo couldn't sleep. He lay in bed, replaying the last shot in his mind again and again. The noise of the crowd still echoed in his ears. He felt proud, but also curious. What would come next? Could this game change his life? The next morning, his phone buzzed with messages. Old friends, teachers, even strangers wrote, "Amazing game. You were incredible. Remember us when you go pro." Later that week, a scout from a big university called. They wanted to see Leo play again. His dream of joining a college team, maybe even going professional, felt closer than ever. But more than success, Leo remembered something else that night taught him. When the pressure is the highest, courage and teamwork matter more than fear. And every time he walked past the gym after that, he could almost hear the sound of the ball swishing through the net. The memory of one perfect moment that would stay with him forever. The Saturday morning sun was shining, but Leo was already awake long before it rose. His alarm had not even rung yet when his eyes opened. Today was the day. the biggest game of the season. The Dragons were going to play against the Eagles, their strongest rival. Leo sat on the edge of his bed and looked at his basketball shoes. They were old, a little dirty, but they still carried memories of many hours of training. He touched them softly and whispered, "Let's do it one more time." Downstairs, his mother was making breakfast. The smell of toast and coffee filled the kitchen. "Good morning, champ," she said with a smile. "You should eat well. You'll need energy today." Leo smiled nervously. "Thanks, Mom. I don't know if I can eat much. My stomach feels strange." She laughed. "That's called excitement. Don't worry. You'll be fine." After breakfast, Leo packed his bag, jersey, towel, water bottle, and, of course, his lucky wristband. His father had given it to him when he was 12. The words, "Never quit," were written on it. He never played a game without it. When Leo arrived at the school gym, the team was already gathering. His best friend Malik waved. "Leo, ready to fly?" "Always," Leo replied, trying to sound confident. Coach Rivera called everyone into the locker room. The team sat in a circle, silent, waiting for his words. Coach looked at each of them, his eyes calm but serious. "Listen," he began, "tonight is not just about basketball. It's about who we are. People out there may think the Eagles are stronger, taller, faster, but they don't know your heart. They don't know how hard you've trained. You are ready. Play with courage, play together, and whatever happens, you'll be proud." The players nodded. Some clapped. Some shouted, "Dragons!" The energy grew. As they left the locker room, the sound of the crowd hit them like a wave. The bleachers were full, parents, friends, students, all cheering, waving banners. Leo saw his mother in the front row, clapping hard, eyes shining with pride. The referee blew the whistle. The game was about to begin. Leo walked to the center circle for the tip-off. His heart was racing, but his mind repeated his father's voice. "The game always gives you one big chance. Don't be afraid when it comes." The ball went up. The game began. The referee's whistle echoed in the gym. The ball flew high into the air, and Malik jumped. His hand touched the ball first, tipping it toward Leo. The Dragons had the first possession. The crowd cheered loudly. Leo dribbled across half court, scanning the floor. The Eagles' defense was tough. Their captain, a tall boy named Ryan, stood like a wall in front of Malik. Leo passed to Jonas on the wing. Jonas tried to drive inside, but two defenders blocked his path. He quickly passed back to Leo. "Shoot it!" someone from the crowd shouted. Leo took a step, faked, then jumped. The ball left his hands. For a second, time slowed. The ball spun through the air and, swish! The first points of the game, the Dragons' bench jumped up. Malik slapped Leo on the back. "Good start, bro." But the Eagles answered quickly. Ryan dribbled down with speed, cutting past Jonas. He passed to their center, who scored easily under the basket. 2-2. The first minutes were fast and intense. Every time the Dragons scored, the Eagles scored back. The scoreboard lit up, 8-8, 10-10, 12-12. The gym felt hotter with each minute. Sweat dripped down Leo's face, but he kept pushing. Halfway through the first quarter, the Eagles began to pull ahead. Ryan hit a three-pointer. Their center blocked Malik's shot. Soon, the score was 20-14 for the Eagles. Coach Rivera called a timeout. The Dragons gathered around him, breathing hard. "Calm down," Coach said. "Don't let their size scare you. Remember our plan. Move the ball, stay fast, and trust each other. Defense wins this game. Don't forget that." Leo nodded. He looked at his teammates. "We can do this. Let's play like we always do." Back on the court, the Dragons played with more energy. Malik stole the ball and passed to Leo, who ran full speed for a layup. The crowd exploded with cheers. At the end of the first quarter, the score was 24-20. The Eagles still led, but only by 4 points. The second quarter started rough. The Eagles' center dominated under the basket. He grabbed rebounds and scored easily. The Dragons' defense struggled. The gap grew, 30-22, then 35-25. Leo felt the pressure. His shot stopped falling. He missed one, then another. Frustration grew in his chest. During a free throw, he looked at the stands. His mother gave him a small smile, raising her fist as if to say, "Don't give up." He breathed deeply. "Never quit," he whispered, touching his wristband. Then came a turning point. With 3 minutes left in the half, Malik intercepted a pass. He threw the ball ahead to Leo. Ryan was chasing him fast. Leo ran harder, dribbling quickly. At the last moment, Ryan jumped to block. Leo faked left, then switched to his right hand and laid the ball in. The crowd roared. Something changed after that. The Dragons began to believe again. Jonas hit a jumper. Malik scored from the corner. The defense grew tighter. They trapped Ryan, stealing the ball twice. By halftime, the scoreboard showed 40-38. The Eagles were still ahead, but only by 2 points. In the locker room, the team collapsed on the benches, breathing heavily. Coach Rivera walked in slowly, holding a clipboard. "You see," he said calmly, "they are not untouchable. You fought back. Now, in a second half, you play with even more heart. Remember, every rebound, every pass, every screen counts. This is not about one hero. This is about all of you together." Leo leaned back, closing his eyes. His muscles burned, but inside he felt fire. He knew the second half would decide everything. The third quarter began with loud cheers from both sides. The gym was full of energy, like a storm waiting to break. The Eagles came out strong. Ryan hit a three-pointer right away, and their center scored again under the basket. The score moved to 45-38. The Dragons needed a spark. Leo dribbled carefully, looking for an opening. The Eagles' defense was aggressive. Every pass was pressured. He saw Jonas open near the baseline and passed quickly. Jonas shot. Swish. 2 points. The Dragons were alive again, but the Eagles answered each basket. Their tall center was nearly unstoppable. He grabbed rebound after rebound. Coach Rivera shouted from the sidelines, "Box him out! Don't let him own the paint." Malik fought hard under the rim, but the size difference was obvious. The Eagles pushed ahead, 52-44. The crowd grew nervous. Some fans looked worried, whispering, "Maybe the Eagles are just too strong." Leo felt the weight of the moment. His legs were heavy, his throat dry, but he refused to quit. He remembered his mother's smile, his father's voice. Never quit, Leo. With 5 minutes left in the quarter, something shifted. The Dragons' defense tightened. Jonas stole a pass and sprinted down the court. He passed to Malik, who dunked the ball with force. The gym exploded with cheers. "Dragons! Dragons!" the crowd chanted. Leo's energy returned. On the next play, he drove hard to the basket, drawing 2 defenders. At the last second, he kicked the ball out to Sam, who was wide open. Sam shot a 3-pointer. Swish! The Dragons were back in it. 52-49. The Eagles called a timeout. Their coach shouted angrily, waving his arms. Ryan looked frustrated. "Keep going," Coach Rivera told his team. "They're cracking. Stay focused." Back on the floor, the Dragons pushed even harder. Leo scored a jumper from the free throw line. Malik blocked a shot, sending the crowd into wild celebration. The score tied at 54-54. The energy in the gym was electric. Every play brought screams and gasps. Parents stood on their feet, clapping and shouting encouragement. Then came one of the biggest moments of the game. With 2 minutes left in the third quarter, Ryan tried to drive past Leo. He dribbled fast, but Leo stayed in front of him. Ryan tried to cross over, but the ball slipped from his hands. Leo grabbed it and ran full speed toward the other end. Ryan chased him, their shoes squeaking loudly on the polished floor. The crowd held its breath. Leo jumped, the ball in his hands. Ryan leapt behind him, trying to block. Contact! Leo felt Ryan's arm hit his shoulder, but he pushed through and released the ball. It bounced off the backboard and went in. And then the whistle. Foul! The referee shouted. The crowd went wild. Leo had scored and earned a free throw. He stood at the line, heart pounding. The gym fell quiet. He bounced the ball once, twice, then shot. Swish. The Dragons took the lead, 57-54. The bench exploded with cheers. Malik hugged Leo hard. "That's how we do it, man." The last seconds of the third quarter were intense. Ryan hit a long shot for the Eagles, but Jonas answered with a quick layup. At the buzzer, the scoreboard showed 59-57. The Dragons were ahead for the first time in the game. The players walked to the bench, exhausted but smiling. Coach Rivera clapped his hands. "This is your moment," he said firmly. "Don't stop now. One more quarter. Play with everything you have." Leo sat down, breathing heavily. His legs ached, but his spirit burned brighter than ever. He looked at his teammates. Each of them was tired, sweaty, but full of determination. The fourth quarter would decide it all. The scoreboard glowed, 59-57. The Dragons were leading by just 2 points. The gym was buzzing with noise. Some fans shouted, "Defense! Defense!" Others clapped in rhythm, their voices echoing off the walls. Everyone knew this final quarter would decide everything. The Eagles had the ball first. Ryan dribbled slowly, his eyes scanning the court. He looked calm, but his movements were sharp. He passed to their tall center, who tried to score under the basket. Malik jumped high, stretching his arm. "Block!" The crowd screamed. Leo grabbed the rebound and sprinted down the court. He saw Jonas running ahead and passed to him. Jonas scored with a clean layup, 61-57. The Dragons fans stood and cheered. But the Eagles were far from done. Ryan responded with a deep three-pointer. Swish, 61-60. The game was still razor close. For the next few minutes, the teams traded baskets. Every shot felt like life or death. The scoreboard kept changing, 63-62, 65-64, 67-67. Neither team could pull away. The tension grew heavy. Players' shoes squeaked louder on the floor. Sweat dripped onto the wood. The crowd shouted every second, their voices rising with each play. With 4 minutes left, disaster struck. Malik fouled the Eagles' center. It was his 5th foul. He had to sit out. The Dragons lost their biggest defender. Leo's heart sank. Malik walked to the bench, frustrated but clapping his hands. "You got this," he shouted to his teammates. "Finish it strong." Coach Rivera looked serious. "Stay smart. Protect the paint. And Leo, this is your time." The Eagles quickly took advantage. Without Malik, their center scored 2 easy baskets. The Dragons fell behind, 71-67. The gym grew tense. Some fans held their heads in their hands. The Dragons looked tired. But Leo refused to give up. He dribbled hard, crossed over Ryan, and hit a mid-range jumper. Then Jonas stole the ball and scored again. Tie game, 71-71, 2 minutes left. The Eagles slowed down, using the clock. Ryan dribbled carefully, looking for his chance. He drove left, pulled up, and hit another jumper. 73-71. The Dragons had possession. Leo dribbled at the top of the key. The crowd chanted, "Leo! Leo! Leo!" His heart raced. He passed to Sam, who missed a three-pointer. The Eagles got the rebound. 1 minute left. Ryan dribbled again, calm and steady. He passed inside. Their center scored, 75-71. The Dragons called a timeout. The players gathered, breathing hard. Coach Rivera knelt down, speaking quickly. "Listen, 4 points, 1 minute, that's nothing. Play fast, play smart. Leo, attack the basket. Jonas, be ready. Sam, take the open shot if you see it." Leo nodded firmly. "We're not done. Let's go." Back on the floor, Leo wasted no time. He drove hard to the basket, jumping high and laying it in. 75-73. 50 seconds left. The Eagles tried to slow the game again. Ryan dribbled, running down the clock. The Dragons' defense was tight. With 10 seconds on the shot clock, Ryan pulled up for a three. Miss. Jonas grabbed the rebound and passed quickly to Leo. The gym was screaming. 30 seconds left. Leo sprinted down the court, defenders chasing. He stopped at the free throw line, faked a shot, then passed to Sam in the corner. Sam caught it, wide open. He shot. The ball arced high through the air. Swish! The Dragons took the lead, 76-75. The crowd went wild, jumping, screaming, waving their arms. But there were still 20 seconds left. The Eagles called timeout. Their coach drew a play, his voice echoing in the gym. Ryan looked focused, determined. The final possession began. Ryan dribbled at the top, guarded by Leo. 10 seconds. He drove right, spinning, then passing to their center. The big man caught the ball and jumped. Jonas jumped too, hitting the ball with his fingertips. Block! The ball bounced loose. Leo dove, grabbing it with both hands. The whistle blew. Foul on the Eagles. 5 seconds left. Leo walked to the free throw line. His chest pounded like a drum. The gym grew silent. Everyone was watching him. He bounced the ball once, twice. Shot. The ball hit the rim, bounced, and dropped in. 77-75. One more shot. He breathed deeply, remembering his father's words. Never quit. He shot again. Swish. 78-75. The Eagles had one last chance. Ryan dribbled fast, pulling up for a deep three. The ball flew through the air as the buzzer sounded. Everyone held their breath. Clang! The ball hit the rim and bounced out. Game over. The gym erupted with cheers. The Dragons rushed onto the court, hugging each other. Coach Rivera smiled proudly. Leo stood in the middle, arms raised, the crowd chanting his name. For the first time, he wasn't just a player, he was a leader. The buzzer had sounded, but the noise in the gym only grew louder. Students, parents, and teachers jumped to their feet, clapping, shouting, waving banners. The Dragons had done it. They had beaten the Eagles in one of the most dramatic games anyone could remember. Leo stood frozen for a moment, still holding the ball from the last free throw. Sweat dripped down his forehead, and his chest rose and fell quickly. Around him, his teammates rushed together, shouting with joy. Jonas hugged Sam, who could hardly believe he had made the three-pointer that gave them the lead. Malik, despite fouling out, ran back onto the court and wrapped Leo in a giant bear hug. "You did it, Leo!" Malik shouted over the noise. "You carried us." Leo shook his head, smiling. "We all did it. Together." The fans spilled onto the court. The gym floor was packed with people congratulating the players, snapping photos, chanting, "Dragons! Dragons!" The cheerleaders waved their pom-poms high, their voices nearly gone from cheering so loudly. In the middle of the chaos, Coach Rivera gathered the team into a tight circle. His voice was calm, but filled with pride. "Boys, this was not just a game. This was about heart. You proved that when you trust each other, nothing is impossible. You made this school proud. You made me proud." The players raised their hands together, shouting, "Dragons!" The sound echoed through the gym like thunder. When the crowd finally began to leave, Leo sat quietly on the bench, catching his breath. The adrenaline was fading, leaving only exhaustion and happiness. He looked up at the scoreboard one last time. Dragons, 78. Eagles, 75. His mother and sister found him, pushing through the remaining fans. His mother hugged him tightly, tears in her eyes. "You were amazing, Leo. I knew you could do it." His sister grinned. "You're like a superhero out there." Leo laughed, shaking his head. "Not a superhero. Just me." But deep inside, he felt different. He had faced the pressure, the fear of failure, and he hadn't quit. He had fought until the very end and won. That evening, the team went to their favorite diner. The small place was crowded, but the owner saved a big table for them. Plates of burgers, fries, and milkshakes filled the table. The boys laughed loudly, replaying every moment of the game. "Jonas, that block at the end Man, I thought you had wings, Sam said, making the whole team laugh. And Sam, Jonas replied, pointing at him, that three-pointer was the shot of the night. Without you, we don't win. Malik raised his glass of soda. To the dragons! To the dragons! Everyone shouted, clinking their glasses together. Leo smiled quietly, enjoying the moment. He wasn't the loudest one at the table, but he didn't need to be. His heart was full. Late that night, when he finally returned home, Leo lay on his bed staring at the ceiling. His muscles ached, and his body begged for rest. But his mind replayed the game again and again. He thought of Ryan, the Eagles' captain, a strong, skilled player who had pushed him to his limits. Without Ryan, Leo might never have discovered how much strength he truly had. He thought of his father's words, "Never quit." Tonight, those words had carried him through the hardest moments. And he thought of his team. Each of them had done something important. Malik's steals and rebounds, Jonas's block, Sam's shot. Even the players on the bench had cheered with all their hearts. It wasn't one hero. It was all of them together. Leo smiled. For the first time, he believed in himself, not just as a player, but as a leader. He knew there would be more games, more challenges, maybe even harder ones. But now he had proof. He could face them. Closing his eyes, he whispered softly, "Thank you, Dad. We won." And with that, he drifted into the deepest, most peaceful sleep he'd had in years. The next morning, the school buzzed with excitement. The Dragons' victory was all anyone could talk about. Teachers congratulated the team. Younger students looked at them like heroes. Posters went up celebrating the win. Leo walked through the halls, no longer just the quiet boy with the wristband, but the captain who had led his team to victory. He knew this was only the beginning.